Welcome everyone to another week at FishEZ. Thank you so much for coming and dropping in. We're looking at a batch of rams. These are the latest ones that have just become free swimming. And they've only been, it looks like one day swimming, and they're just starting to eat baby brine shrimp. So it looks like another good batch. I was having not too good success for a while, but now all of a sudden, when I pay close attention to the young ones, these are definitely doing better. Hello, Jonathan. Hello, Roman, and thank you so much. Red Laser as well. Everybody's up and ready for. I've got a lot to talk about, and I hope that you stay tuned because it's going to be so many things to cover. A lot has happened this week, and we're just excited to be able to share with everybody. Hello, Jeff. Welcome for our weekly live stream. A few things that might be new. These are great things. Hello, and it's Divyang Sony. Hello. Yes, it's great to see you, and I'm glad you're connected. Today we're going to be talking about a number of things. I've got in the fish room today so many different subjects to cover. A lot of new fish in the fish room, believe it or not, and some exciting news. So we're going to see how that turns out. Now, specifically, just to get an idea of what's going on in the fish room this week, and I'm excited to show that finally, after somebody mentioned last week saying, well, what about the Danios, you know? And I felt bad because I haven't been able to do something with them yet. And then I said, you know, this week I'm just going to grab the little tank and get going. Let me show you how the egg scattering tank has been going. So here's a view. Take a look. Here's something that little project that we talked about some weeks ago. And all I did was I took this 2.5 gallon. It's like a better kind of tank, and it has these slots for the glass panels. And I slid in one of the glass panels, and as you can see, I even used something to hold the panel, and this is what I got. I had some of these. They're like suction cups, and you can put. It's just like a divider. It was because what happens is you got the water on one side, and the water is flowing out of the fry capture area, and the water goes up and over, and now you're into the breeder area. But the water's filtered, of course, through the sponge filter. And then over here, you've got your false bottom, and then the water is going to be sucked out. Now, if you don't hold the glass in some way, obviously it's going to get pushed out because the water, believe it or not, the force of the water, because as you start to fill, if water can't get from side right to side left, you've got an issue because, as you can see, it's just pouring in. And this is a really pretty, it's a nifty little filter. I got that from Aquarium Direct, and it's the smaller one. I also got the bigger one, so I'd have two and I could compare, but for this particular application, it was the smaller one that did the perfect job. So then at the top, I just put a little adapter on the end and made it kind of extend further. I'm going to find a means to take the water and move it from here all the way to the other side, because I really want the water to come in here on this side, and then it would push, it will be a flow pushing this direction. And then at the bottom, as you can see, I took a little piece of plastic. It's about the thickness of a nickel, and the plastic weir that I wasn't using from the breeder boxes, it will actually go from the bottom over here over to the left. So that's something that I think is really good, and it seems to be working quite fine. But unfortunately, there is a flaw with this system. And I discovered it this week because I was so excited to tell you guys about how we're going to get started with our breeding, Danio breeding project, when suddenly I put a female into the right hand side. I put some nice water. I put everything in here, and I thought, well, let's put the females first. So I put a female over on this side, and I was sitting here, and I was looking at it and was saying, this is going to work. And then suddenly, within I would say within 10 minutes, the female was on this side. And I'm like, what? How can that happen? I mean, I looked at the glass and I said that it's right up against the glass. I mean, it was just a very, very thin opening. And I thought, well, she's big. She's kind of big. She won't get through it. But on the back side, I discovered that you see where that thing is holding, there is actually a large enough gap that a small fish could just get her head through there and get past. So this thing, think about it for a minute. This thing's against the back. If you can imagine going all the way a glass piece and then putting the glass here. There's enough gap. There's probably just barely enough gap between the wall and the divider to let her go by. And a female that's jumping around, and she's all excited because maybe she's being chased by the male and she's trying to get away, is going to find the crevice. She's going to find a little spot. She's going to zoom out, whatever. And that's what happened. So that just brought me back to the drawing board, but it also gave me something to think about. How am I going to seal that up? So I decided that I would show you how it's set up, and I'd let you see how it's going to work, and then I'm going to just demantle it tonight and let it dry out, and I'm going to silicone in. I can use silicone because I can always use a razor blade to cut it out. You know, it's not like it damages it or anything. So I'm just going to silicone it in, put a nice bead of silicone all the way up, and I'll also and actually I could adjust the bottom. A rubber band, great idea. That would be a great idea, rubber band. So that would be like a rubber band around the edge? How would you put the rubber band on? Or, oh, I see, a thick rubber band along the edge, and then it will have a rubber... Huh, I like that concept. Thank you so much. Let's just experiment that for just a second. I'm going to actually see if I understand right. I'm going to experiment with that because I have some rubber bands. Let's see about that. Okay, here's where I'm at. Okay, let's see. I've got a piece of glass here. Here's one that I have, and I have some rubber bands right here. Now what would happen if I pulled out that glass, you see, and I put it here like this? Okay. It sort of works. At the top, though, there's little gaps right here in the top, in the very top of the ridge of the tank, and so this fits right in the gap there and goes in. This might be in the way, but I'm going to give that some thought. What other material could I put along the edge just to kind of make it a little bit wider so that there's zero gap? But the other problem is, in this case, if I use this particular gadget in order to hold the thing, the problem is this is going to hold it, keep it from moving, but it's also going to maybe pull it away from the wall. So I'm afraid to use it. So that is a very good idea. You've got me thinking about what I could do besides silicone. But I have plenty of silicone anyway. I have a tube right down here, and I can just put a bead there. It might make it a little more permanent. I plan to use that tank for the purpose. And I may as well tell you about the great things that have happened this week. During the week since the last live stream, I have actually met with two of you, and we've been doing very well. And first of all, I want to show you what I got new to the fish room. Let's take a look. Mr. Z has joined us today. No jumping. Okay. Mr. Z is with us. Let's see. Okay. Take a look at Mr. Z. Hello. Say hello to everybody.
Hi guys.
What are you doing today?
Helping Michael.
Oh, okay. So, what is the game plan to help with the fishes?
Well,
you have to think about that for a moment. Okay. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show the folks our brand new fish over here.
yeah.
And this is something I'm very excited about because these fish are CPDs, also known as Galaxy Rasboras.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Let me move my light over a little bit just to see if I can get a good look at them. But these little guys are doing very well in here. And they are colored up. They're full size. They're just gorgeous. And the females are plump. And the males are brilliantly colored. And I want to thank Roman. Thank you very much for helping me with that. We did a little fish trade. And look at that. We've just got some beautiful CPDs. And they are going to be, well, probably a great candidate for our little breeder box. Shall we call it a breeder box? It's really not. We have breeder boxes. No, I think it's more like a egg trap.
Yeah, like an
egg trap cake. Egg trap tank.
Egg trap tank.
Tank. Yeah, I know.
It's a little bit difficult because it has two ends.
Oh, is that why?
So you can
two
get
ends. Okay.
You can get mixed up by the tent and the tank.
So I thank you, Roman. This is going to be a great breeding project, and these are always in demand. These fish. It's not like you can get too many of them. But look at the colors in these.
Look at the babies.
I'm like so impressed. Yes, Roman brought those. He had raised these in some outdoor tubs and done very well.
And look at the babies.
And the babies, yes, they look like babies. So just to give you guys some ideas
Some little hints.
The new things, what these will do. I'll show you what those how well these are the blue-eyed forktails are doing excellent in here, and even the babies down in this tank here. It's just got lots. So these guys are just not, wow, they're just so much. Now, Roman, I thank you so much for the possibilities here. Also, I wanted to show you the still have a massive checkered barbs here, but I want to thank the next. This is also something I was able to do is meet up with Mr. Stubbs Aquatics at Lake Karcha. Thank you, Chris, for coming down and coming to see us here at FishEZ. And you are doing what?
Trying to pretend I'm holding it.
Doing what?
Trying to pretend I'm holding it.
You're holding it. Okay. Now these checkered barbs, I took out 50 plus checkered barbs, and we gave them to Chris Stubbs, and it looks like, I don't know, for some reason it looks like nobody, I think I still have another 50 in here, so I don't know, I just got so many. And then of course the green tiger barbs are looking great. Okay, very good. So now
back to the live stream.
Back to the live stream. Thank you. So now here we go. Taking a quick look at our epistogrammas. These are also new. And the epistogrammas they're just doing well. These are the McMastery. And so this one and this pair in here is doing super well. And even in the next tank, I got two pair. There's the female there. And she's looking good. They're
female's
quite
going good.
nice size. And there's a male also in here, and he's big.
He's like
He's
bigger.
a big guy. For an Apisto, you can see he's like 3 times bigger than these little rams.
Like 3 feet tall.
Yeah, I don't know about 3 feet tall, but maybe
That is humongous.
maybe in
Also,
somewhere.
I can like see
Okay,
too.
so that's the greatest
And-
improvements, but I have done some other things that...
And back to the live stream.
Back to the live stream, yes. Okay, we're back to the live stream. So I saw there was a comment or two. I wanted to entertain, going back to comment. Let me see. Let me scroll up. Can you use the slider rails that are used for glass lids? Oh,
That's a good question.
you know, Roman, you're worth your weight in gold. I have those sliders. I know exactly what you're talking about. I have.
Are they anyway?
I'm going to go show them right now. Okay?
I'm gonna maybe. Oh, they're down here.
Uh-huh.
Or remember their sliders.
They're right down here. Let's take a look. These are what he's talking about. These are the slider rails. So you put them in for glass, and I could cut a piece that would just fit, and it would be like
good size.
yeah, and I could actually make that could work. I don't know
I know.
if it cuts just right. That could really do a good job. I have this happens to be on a lid for my Daphne. This is a Daphne tank. I don't know if you can see him in there. Usually you see him better from the side. There you go.
Yeah, the side is much better. I see a little bit on top. So I can see.
Yeah, we can see it down, but on the camera it's easier to see without the glare. You see the Daphne very well.
Yeah, they're like
The water's clearing up. It's probably
like this. They're like doing this. Like this.
yeah, but it's probably better to get the food, some green water put in there.
Sure.
While we're here, let's just take a look at these wonderful, gorgeous electric blue rams. They are they're definitely ready. I got to get them into a breeding tank, a few pair, and see if I can get some eggs out of these little guys.
Because we have one tank of blue lasers.
Electric blues.
Electric blues. We have one tank, and these can be and then if they lay
Here's
more
a female.
Oh, there's a female. Oh, jeez, I knew that.
There's a pair right there.
So they're gonna go to an egg.
Yeah, they started the other day. They were like, it was a male and a female over in the corner, so I put that just in case they wanted to lay.
So they're gonna lay eggs there, and then we're gonna put them in a like a new tank.
Okay, good.
Back to the live stream.
Back to the live stream. Oh, and then of course we've got the younger ones. These are a little younger. They're not pairing up yet. But
Yeah.
they're definitely.
When you get older,
They're definitely progressing very well.
when they're
I'm not sure how to.
Ugh, the light is so like strong.
I know the light. I'm sorry, I don't know how to.
And also it has like pattern, like red, white, blue, red, white, blue. Also
But they're
green.
looking good.
One of them are green.
Okay, and
Back to the live stream.
here I wanted to mention something I discovered. Like in this tank, the fish are always out, right? Now in this tank, the fish were hiding all the time. They were under the heater, and I don't know what it was. It was like they were like scared, stiff. So what I did simply to fix the problem was I took some plants, some floating plants, and threw it in, and poof, they all came out. They seemed more relaxed. They seemed better, and everything seems to be doing quite well. Hello, S. Welcome to the live stream, and if I missed anybody, thank you for joining us.
You're just in time.
Yeah, just in time. That's not plugged in. All right, so this is a group that I took out of the breeder box during the week. So again, once they start eating baby brine shrimp and they start looking strong enough, I just transfer them to one of these tanks. I think that's the best way to handle a batch of about 200 fish. This batch here, for example, as you can see, it hasn't been in here but a couple weeks, and they've grown, and now they're ready to go into a bigger or expansion or some
Tank.
tank that will allow them to grow out. So I'm going to talk about that towards the end. So now, getting back to the concept, I think it's great for our I think it's awesome that we get some ideas here. Now I got some things to work with. I can actually, let me see. I have those rails, those glass rails. I think there's a bunch in the garage. Well, yeah. Maybe I have some here.
Maybe.
Yeah, I do have a piece here. I think I do, but it looks like it's the thicker stuff. It's kind of buried. Oh, and I had to make some room because I'm always constantly juggling on the fish. So look at the 90-gallon tip. What this week? I'll show you how the fish are showing up in here.
Also,
as you can see, there's some barbs that are just in this big tank. I threw my male barbs in here, and they're kind of going crazy with the space. They kind of schooling together, and they're looking really good. And even these, I love these little hexazonas. They stick together, and they're doing very well. But this is just a temporary accommodations, and I'm going to get those fish into a better place when I redo this rack, because again, as I said before, this rack has to be done. And we do have 3 spawns of discus, 3 spawns this week. Actually, the fish keep spawning over and over. But this pair, for example, is laid on the glass a second time. There was actually, hey, Fishroom Corporation, welcome. Those eggs there, as you can see, I don't think they're going to hatch. I think the TDS is too high. I have not been treating them. And in fact, all the discus have been getting treatment. They've been getting treatment for in case there's a hole in the head, which I can see there's some evidence here. Yeah, and I will show you. I will show you something about the other discus. Excuse me.
okay.
I did something a little unique. I just took one of my grills that I used in the bottom of my 5-gallon tank, and after they laid, I decided to just clip that on there. It worked out perfect, and you can see there's eggs on the bar.
Now
You can see them. Now this one,
this is a little bit more windy in here.
looks like there might be no fertilization there, but these over here, the eggs are still there because they were eating them right away, and I decided I would just try this to see if I can get to the point where there's some wigglers. I just wanted to see if they were going to hatch at all in the case of water. They're gonna be due to hatch, I think, tomorrow, but we'll see if they get any hatch. But the water is kind of a little murky because I've just started to change the water. Based on the treatment, I couldn't change the water for the treatment, so I put the medication in and had to leave it for 4 days. And this thing was so bad, it wasn't clean at all. Not the way or the standards I keep it. So,
Thumbs up to thumbs down.
oh, thumbs up. Tell us about the thumbs up.
The thumbs up means this is good. But actually, it's thumbs down, which means this is not good.
Okay, but what about on the YouTube channel? Thumbs up means what?
Thumbs up means subscribe to the video. Thumbs down means
You didn't like the video, right?
yeah. So
Yeah, so give us a thumbs up on the video. Don't forget. And if you...
and subscribe, hit the notification button.
Notification button.
And
That's
also
good.
subscribe.
Thank you. I think you said it all. I think that was the words I needed to hear. Okay, excellent. Thank you, Mr. Z. And we appreciate that very much. And also, I want to answer the question that we just saw there a minute ago from Stubbs.
Stubbs. Okay.
Stubbs has a very interesting question.
Sure.
And let me... Oh, you want to get in there?
Sure.
Is that why you moved the camera? Okay.
There.
You can both see us. He's asking the difference between filament barbs and mascara barbs. It's very simple. For many years, the genus for all barbs was Puntius, and of course, it was so big and broad. It was incorporating about every barb there ever was at any time ever. And those barbs, of course, didn't really look at anything like some other barbs, and so the Puntius genus obviously needed to be refined. And so as the years rolled by, that's what they did. And they put more similar family-related barbs together. And in so doing, the Indian barbs, which many of them are from India and the different rivers over there. In fact, hello?
Okay.
Are you showing off?
Nah, not really.
Not really. Okay. You trying to steal the show?
No, I'm not.
Oh, okay. Well, you're doing a good job of it. I think. So I know you can talk better than I can, and I know you can encapsulate the hearts of many more people than I can. But all right. So going on to the Dawkinsia genus, that's where they found many of those streamlined barbs that you see. There's even roseline barbs are now in the Dawkinsia genus. They were differently before, but your filament barbs and your mascara barbs and your rohani barbs, they're all very similar. In fact, they will even, I believe that you can get them to crossbreed. So you'll get crosses from those. But now, hi Joe, welcome. I don't have any black rams yet. And of course, I'll be selling them if I can get some. And we're going to talk about, stick around, I'm going to give you a real show on the black rams in just a moment. So the Dawkinsia genus is made up of various, but the various ones, as I mentioned, in fact, there's several more, including there's a there's several more in the I just can't think of them at the moment. I'm not good at just rattling them off things at the spur of the moment.
I can.
Oh yeah, you can? Rattle one off. That's what I thought. So now, this is the difference though. The filament barbs are very well known for their dorsal fin filaments, and so as the males get older, the filaments just start streaming off the dorsal fin. And they are indeed Aurelius. Thank you, Chris Aquatics. That's another one, Aurelius. And I've seen a number of those. There's also one very similar. Looks like it's like the panda barb, or which one is that? I don't remember the scientific name for that one. But you know, you've got these fish, and the male. The male filament is known for that, but also when they color up, or when the males start getting excited, they're pink and they're green and they get flashy colors, and that's something that is just really pronounced in the filament barb. I think the filament barbs, in my personal opinion, are indeed one of the most beautiful of the Dawkinsia genus, and they're also known as black spot barbs. Now, if you look at the black spot, you'll see that the black spot barbs have more of a circle. They're definitely more of a spot, as opposed to the rohanis, which the black spot is elongated. It more looks like it's been smeared, so it's a little longer. And so that's one of the instant ways to tell the difference between them if you're not really accustomed to it. But finally, to answer about the mascara has some really, right around the eye, has some what looks like mascara, very dark, or very shiny blue. But when they color up, the mascara barb has the lateral line becomes more pronounced, and the top portion of their body gets a brilliant gold, almost reddish in color. And there are some strains. There's two actual strains of the mascara barbs. They've decided to break them up into a different species. So the species, they used to be called just the mascara barb, but the ones from the Sita River, S-I-T-A, those are the ones that actually are known as aspara, A-S-P-A-R-A, aspara. So Dawkinsia aspara is like the Mascara barbs, which is Dachinsia assimilis. And the assimilis is now the regular ones that were always there, but the ones that are really specially colorful is the ones I've always wanted to get, and that's from the ones from the Sita River in India, and those are now Aspara. There's two websites that I've always seen them in, and you can see these beautiful Mascara barbs in the go back and look at most any of the videos from LRB Aquatics. He's got a tank full of them, and they are the highlight of his fish room. And also there's a gentleman on Facebook, if you want to check him out. His name is, oh no, don't tell me I have to remember it. One of my friends' names.
You got to remember it.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so anyway, he's one of my friends. His name is Howie, I think. Howie. And anyway, you can check him on my Facebook and look at my friends. You'll see him. Howie is in Wales, and he is one of the most amazing fish room breeders I have ever seen. He breeds hundreds and hundreds of fish, and they're all living in all of his aquariums, and every aquarium looks like it's overdosed with fish, but somehow somehow he just really just amazing. So I hope that answers your question. In fact, for this week, I'm going to add, after tonight, I'm going to add a link to Howie's fish. Okay, so everybody can see him. I think that would be good. Is that like, a shout out or something?
2 thumbs up.
Give me 2 thumbs up. Not just 1, but 2. Okay. Thank you so much. Hey, welcome Joe and Koshik. Koshik, ready?
Hey man, really?
Yeah. Okay.
Like,
I'll let you try to pronounce these names because I can't do it. Sometimes it's just too difficult for me. What's my opinion about firemouth cichlids? Well, they're a Central American cichlid. They act like a Central American cichlid. I had some here last year that were similar to the firemouths, the same genus. I had some people call it the blue flash cichlid, but also there are the Aurelius gold, right? But the same Thoriictis, I think it's Thoriictis Aurelius. Hey,
sorry.
Use your manners. These are people who are not expecting to see things like that. Okay, so now getting back to the questions, I thought there was one up here I missed. Am I selling the black rams? Yes, as soon as I can get some. We're going to be talking about the black rams in just a moment. I wanted to also mention something else that was new. Let's see. Also new in the fish room was, I showed you. Oh yeah, I picked up a pair of rosy barbs.
For real?
For real. I mean, I didn't really. I know. I mean, why rosy barbs? I just wanted to prove something that I keep hearing on the internet. I keep hearing people talk about, and I want to prove to myself that rosy barbs love and eat blackbeard algae. So I picked up a pair just to see. We'll see. I don't know if I want to bother breeding them because I'll just end up with a ton of rosy barbs, and then what do you do with a bucket load of rosies? Well, I'll give you a quick look. I threw them in with these rams just because I didn't have any tank space. Let me show you.
Michael, you're blocking my way.
I'm blocking your way? Where are you trying to go? Okay, in the back there, you see the male? There's a male rosy barb. There's the rosy. Now, I just picked up a pair. It was just because I saw them at the time, and I just wanted to grab them while I could, just prove this out. So once they finish quarantine, I don't mind quarantining with these fish because these fish were there's only a few in here that are really good. This was not a good batch. Some of the quality wise, it was not my exceptional batch, so I had to make a hard decision, and it wasn't hard. Now I did move the fish. Oh yeah, here we are. I gotta show these fish off because I have also noticed this, the moment I take fish out of the big 90 gallon and I put. No. That's where's you got the controls here.
Where that goes?
Where's that goes? It gotta turn it on. Okay.
Oh.
Power button. Okay, so here I noticed that when I had these fish in the 90 gallon, they didn't color up. The moment I put them in my Magic 40, immediately you can see in a week's time they're looking good. So
They also can fire thinner.
these German blues will be ready soon. I did get an order though. Hey, Chris, do you have long fin rosies? I see your comment about the rosies, but I didn't know you had roses. I don't remember that. But do you have long finned? Because that's the ones I had in California. Oh, now that just changed the color. Now why did you do that?
And look.
It's just blue. Now that doesn't really show their true colors because
how about
these rams
thunder?
No thunder.
How about daytime?
No, daytime's okay. Give us some daytime. There we go. You got some white light daytime, and then you can see the real colors. Long finned, okay. Well, if I was to breed them, that's the ones I would do because I love the long finned rosies. They're just, you know, some fish. Hey, don't do that.
Sure.
You're gonna make waves.
How?
You see the water? It's already waving. You see? Yeah, we don't want to knock over the tanks. Okay, so. Repashy food, I have used it and I have some in the fridge. It's not something I've just been using every single day. I think there's an application for it, and I used it on my L134s. So I had some plecos that were eating it and they ate it and it was good, and so I have no negative opinion about it. Speaking of food, I have started in on my Dr. Baslier, and I'm using that for most of the fish that are growing up. But the fish I don't have, you know, most of them, the Repashy is kind of, the Repashy is more for I think the scratchers, you know, I mean the ones that rasp. So now let's get into some real good discussion today. I wanted to show you.
Be right back.
Okay, where are you off to?
Off to do something. I'll be right back.
Oh, okay, gotta go take care of business. So Mr. Z has left the room for a moment. It gives me a chance to let you see what's going on over here. We're gonna take a look at the black rams. Okay, so as you know, I got my rams up on the top. Mr. Z has moved my stairs, so I have to move it with me. Let's get over there. Oh, sorry about that. Oh, and by the way, last night, I think it was last night, I pulled out another batch of Lucipinnis. There's some young in here, but I'm not sure if they're gonna be successful or not. This is a cleaned up breeder box, so I'm testing to see if that helps a lot on the Lucipinnis. I haven't looked at the black rams today. Let's just make sure they're alive. Let's take a look at what we got. This black ram is very dark, as you can see. You notice the form. Now notice towards the center of the body there's a little patch that looks like it's kind of not quite totally black. It's sort of got some color coming through, and oh, wait a minute. I see the male back there. Do we have eggs? When I see a male perched over I look at two things. I look at the female to see if she's dropped in size. It's hard to tell in her case. And I see back there, he's coming out. He may think he's getting some food. But do we have any eggs over there? We may have to verify that. Let me look with my, instead of looking through the camera. No, I don't see any. But they're definitely in the mood. I feed them I feed them live food, and that gets them in the mood. And then here, these are the pairs I picked up 2 weeks ago or so, and this pair has already had one batch of eggs, but they were all infertile, and that may have been due to the TDS, but we're gonna have to find out about that. Here's the female. She's very dark, and she's pretty good form. This is an excellent pair. Now, on the other hand, this third pair over here, not quite as perfect in form, but she does look like she's looking good and ready for laying some eggs. So I usually once a week give them a 50% water change, and that's good. And I think that it also helps, like for example, I'm going to do something a little sneaky, and I'm just going to open this up and so they can see each other. Of course, they could already see the other rams on the other side, but I think seeing other rams gets them all excited, and they tend to go charging after the neighboring rams as opposed to each other. So it's one of the ways I can cut down on aggression. It's just letting them attack the glass instead of each other. See, look at them. They both kind of look at each other and the females just want to kill each other, you know? So, now for the big surprise. I was able to do something that I wasn't thinking possible, but it has happened. A local fish shop got in a batch of black rams, and this local shop got some decent ones, and I'm going to show them to you because they're at the bottom here, basically in quarantine. And voila, I was able to get a number of pairs. So we're going to be looking at completely, these came from Israel. They just arrived in the country a few days ago. I've got females and males, and as you can see, there's some really decent ones. And by getting a number of pairs instead of just a couple, what you're able to do is be very selective on the ones you end up with, and then breed those, and then have some backups. And you can also decide if you just want to cut down on the number, I can sell some of the pairs. So I definitely got more than I actually need or even have room for. So we'll see what happens. But these were available. I got them Thursday, and they had probably a good dozen or two left in the tank when I left the premise on Thursday. And this is the location. It's called Tails and Scales in Toronto. So it was really nice that they were able to get in there. So if you're in the Toronto area, give Tails and Scales a call and ask them if they still got them in, and you will be able to zip over there and maybe pick up a pair. While I was there was a gentleman before me, and he was grabbing a male. I guess he wanted it for a show tank or something. He did just one male, and then this one you can hardly see through the glass. I should have cleaned the glass before, huh? But there's a couple of nice ones. Look at this one here. This one is quite dark, very attractive. They're younger. I think that they're younger than the other ones that I have, which means there's going to be a lot to work with, because in the sense that I'll have a number of tries to raise them. And yes, Ryan, you know them, Nelson, yeah, over there. Yeah, it was the first time I had been in that shop, because that's not my end of town, but it gives you an idea. And I did throw in, I don't know if you see, there's a fish in here. It's a checkered barb. There's a male checkered barb. And I just throw him in there because in the quarantine process, I like to have a fish that is healthy. And I know it's healthy and it's part of my own fish. And I like to see what happens when they're with new fish. And if there's like ick or anything that might appear because of the transit, the stress and everything, it's very likely, very possible that, look at these guys, they're just, man, they're getting quite accustomed to this tank. But it gives me an opportunity to observe the behavior, and the checkered barb is pretty nonchalant fish. It isn't going to bother anybody, not these rams anyway. It's definitely, I can see that these rams are definitely more aggressive, and they're going to have to be watched carefully. The tank itself has to have a lot of hiding spots and places where fish can escape. So that's the good news, and I hope you really enjoyed seeing something like that. And uh, we're going to get up now. Let's see. Oh, oh, I'm on my knees getting down there. I just wanted to find a tank where I could put them all together, and if I needed to treat them, I could treat them all together, or do something like that. But as you can see, some of these tanks are just, I mean, incredible, in that they just have too many fish. I mean, incredibly packed. And these are my breeders, or these are my grow outs. And so what FishEZ really needs is when like, for example, these Odessas, which we've watched from the day they were born on this channel, these Odessas are now at the point where, they should have been in a bigger tank, and they need to be put in a bigger tank, and they need to just spend another few months growing out. But I could use this tank. In fact, I want to take these 3 10-gallons here and replace them with 4 or 5 gallons, so I have places to put pairs of rams and the like. So that's something that's just going to have to happen in the months to come. But where does that leave me? I mean, how do I get to that point? Well, for the past, I want to say in the past 3 months. Has it been 3 months? Maybe not quite that long. I've been working on something, and I'm really happy now to let you all know that I have purchased some tanks. So I do have more tanks than these. It's just that right now I didn't have a place to put them. So I'll be getting those tanks set up and sharing with you these tanks. The total amount of gallons that these tanks consist of amounts to 1,100 gallons. So the 1,100 gallons are going to be 1,100 gallons of water, and they consist of I've got about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, something like 8 50 gallons, a couple of 60s, one 125, and a number of smaller ones that are 18 cubes for breeding discus. So as you can see, my discus are not really, I mean, I'm sharing 120 gallon or something like that, and I think it's like terrible. So I'm not happy about that, but thank you so much for being with me during this this ride. It just means that from now on, in the next month or two, while I'm trying to get these tanks up and running, yes, I know, Roman, but sometimes there are deals you just can't pass up, and you need to get this space. I mean, the tank space, and you need it, and you got to have it, right? So, what do you do when you get an offer to buy a fish room? And when you buy the fish room, all the tanks come with it, and the stands, and the paraphernalia. And it's like, okay, I know how much it would take me and how much effort it would be and how much cost it would be to do it individually, one by one, piece by piece. But when you can just go like, okay, overnight set up 1,000 gallons of, we're talking 12, 15, around 15, 20 tanks, just large size tanks, not 5 and 10 gallon stuff. If you can just poof, have that kind of grow out space, for me that's ideal. Now I'm not in this small fish room. I think this is just going to be breeding, and we're going to be focused on breeding here. But when the fish get big enough, I think it's just going to be a time when they're just going to get scooped up and taken over to a bigger tank, and then left there to grow out until they could be sold. So that's what my thinking is, and that's the exciting news I wanted to share with everybody. So I do now have in the future, very near future, some grow out space, and wonderful, right? So I'll keep you in touch with that, and stay tuned for some extracurricular activities, as it were, and visiting and seeing, maybe on a Fishroom 411 trip to see grow out space and how it's done. And any big tanks, Michael? Any big tanks? Well, the biggest one was 125 gallon. I mean, that's bigger than this 90. And so, I mean, it was a show tank. It was a tank that the gentleman had in his wall, so that you could see from the recreation room or the den, and you could look at this tank, and it was like in the wall, and it had all these discus in it. But to grow out discus like I'm trying to do, it's not going to happen in here. You just need more stuff. Sandy, hello, and I am so glad you joined us. Of course, unfortunately, we're nearing the end. I just made I hope you heard the announcement that I've expanded my tank space. I've also expanded in my breeds. I've got now some more black rams. In fact, I've got more black rams than I know what to do with, and I don't want to stop production of the German blues, because those black rams will, of course, be much I think a higher demand, but the German blues, I think, are going to be less problematic. And so it's important not to just dismiss them, because every fish room needs to have bread and butter. Now, I haven't seen, thank you, Preston, John, and I haven't seen Malik on this grow out, but in this video today, live stream. But I do know that Malik, he claims the same thing. You need to have like angelfish and others. Well, I don't think I ever mentioned it to Malik, because I've been keeping it kind of under the wraps for the moment. In fact, it may never happen. But I do know somebody who's got some really beautiful angels, and they are long-finned angels, and I saw them and I fell in love with them, and I'm like, well, where did you get those? Well, they imported them, and got some really nice. So I got in line. I says, look, I want some of those. So I'm going to get some angels one day, but I don't know when that is. And I know he's got angels, but it's okay. There's a variety. He's got different kinds. I know he's doing very well with his pearls. And I recommend everybody take a look at Aqua Malik's videos and things going on. And yes, and angelfish and rams and discus, I think, are something that's just always in demand. I just want to not forget it. I'm focused on some of these other fish. We want to see some baby fry from the gold ring Danios. I really want to see some. I also would love to get the CPDs going. In fact, you saw where they were. I'm almost tempted just to remove the fish after they've been in there a week and just see what babies come out of that thick grass. I mean, look at this. It's part of the tank. It's just full of subwasser tang. Look at this subwaster tank. I mean, you know, it's thick. It's like keeps growing and growing and growing, and it provides a mat. These fish just swim over it all the time. Hatchery Man, thank you for joining. The 5-gallon tanks get a 50% change every week if there are like 2 fish in it. Okay, so these for example, on the weekends at some point I will give a 50% water change on these fish. However, that's just the breeders. There's only 2 fish in there. Now, to answer your question, doesn't it really depend on how many fish? Here's a 5-gallon also, same size. Well, that was a 4-gallon. This is a 5-gallon. So, how often do I do water changes on this one? You want to take a guess? I'll tell you. Take a guess. How often do I do a water change on this one? Anybody? How often should the water be changed in that tank and this one? 2 times a week. Well, Hatchery Man says every day, and that's very close to the reality. I'm going to show you how I'm going to do it. I have a 25-gallon tank, a reservoir of water that's 81 degrees. There it is. It has been totally aerated for about, I would say close to 24 hours, and it's got a heater in the bottom. There is a tube coming out of that tank, and it comes down here, and water is in here, and I get, okay, tank number 4, and we'll watch those bubbles go, zippity doo dah, and I am now doing a water change. That tube is now filling up this tank, and over in the back of the tank is an overflow. You can watch my other videos to show how to make these, and we'll talk again about them one day. But that's an overflow, so as water trickles in, that trickles out. So I call it a trickle water change system. So I just walk away, and I don't have to do anything more. The water change will be complete when the water in the top tank is down to the bottom. So you see, like for now it says I've got I have used about 1 gallon of this water, and there is 21 gallons left. So I've got it all marked out, so I tell you how much I've used or how much is left, and there's 20 gallons. Now I just walk away. I will change 20 gallons in this 5-gallon tank. That's like 4 water, 100% water changes. 4, if I just did that. Now I can also look at my discus here, and I say, okay, they're going to get a water change as well because they need it. I'm going to turn this one on, so half the water is going to go into one tank, and half the water is going to go into the other side. We started that up. Now they're getting fresh water. I usually try to, before I do the water change, I'll siphon out the bottom because I like to keep theirs as clean as possible. Over here in the fry, I don't need to keep it as clean as possible because the basic bottom line is a couple of baby plecos, like that one right there, will get in there and just clean it up and keep the algae gone. And these rams will just get fresh water. So now I've got 10 gallons because I got 2 tanks going, right? 10 gallons, so that's a 100% water change twice a day, the equivalent. And when I'm finished, this will take probably 2 hours to do. The fish never notice the water change. All they know is their water gets clearer. If it's a little murky, it just clears right up into crystal clear water. And they're getting this fresh water. And why not? I'll just turn on this one. Okay? And now they're getting a water change. So I got a tank up there. It's the right temperature. When it's down to the bottom, I'll just refill it, and then 2 hours later, it only takes 2 hours, and in 2 hours the water will be reheated back up to 81, because when I pour it in, when I turn the knob and refill it, the tank at the top will be 68. It'll be very cold water, but by the time 2 hours has passed, it's back up to 81. And then I'll add a little prime if I want to use it right away. If I have it there bubbling away for 8 hours or more, I don't even bother with prime. There's no chlorine in the water at that point. So I hope that answers your question. It was a good question. But as you can see, the answer to the question isn't as straightforward as simply, oh yeah, I change the 5-gallon tanks the same. I don't change them the same. And it just depends on what's inside the tank. And that's the important thing. But for a pair of fish, to change them 50% every week, I think it keeps, if you can watch the TDS rise as the week progresses and you see that you're still keeping it low, in the case of breeding rams, I think I'm doing well. I don't bother with RO water for the breeders of the German blues. That's just tap water completely. So it's 190 ppm, and that's what comes out of my tap, 198 or so ppm, and they're fine with that. However, I did notice that because I had that infertility issue with the black rams, I think that what really helps is a lower TDS, because maybe the fertility. We talked about that, I think, last week on the fertility issue. So if you go back to the live stream from last week, you'll get a little more discussion on that. And I think that one last little spotlight is to share with you is I'm having good success, better success than before with you see how on this tank where I used to have the breeder boxes on the outside of the tank, well, there's nothing wrong with that. It can be on the outside of the tank and get the water flushing through, but at this age, before they're eating baby brine shrimp, I have appreciated the fact that, let me see if I can be heard over here. I want you to be able to hear me too. So these are inside the tank, and so it's keeping them warmer, but I'm not changing the water while they're in this position. Once they get big enough, they're eating. These are not quite eating. I see in their stomachs that they've just started eating the baby brine shrimp. I'll give them another 3 or 4 days of being in this position, and then they're going to be kind of double or triple the size they are now. And then that's when I will pull it out, turn it over, and do the water flow through. But in the meantime, how do I change the water? It's very interesting to do it on the reverse, because the water is going to spill all over the place, right? So I put a tub here, and I'm going to use a little device. I call it a waveguide, but that's actually in electrical engineering terms. But be that as it may, I'm just going to guide the water so when it hits there, it will come down here and hit this little piece of this is sponge, and it will kind of absorb it, and so it doesn't just like splatter, because it was just splattering. And then it will hit this and then run down the piece of PVC here and then start to fill up here. So I'm going to just turn on the water, and what I'm lacking here is, of course, you got to have, in this case, a weir. You don't want the fish to get out. And I'm just going to put the weir in, because I'm slowly going to overflow it. I'm going to use this weir. That one's too coarse. The fish are too young. This one here is better. Okay. So now I got it so that, but it's going to be so gentle and so slow that this thing is going to be replaced. Now, let me see if you can see. I don't know if you can see what's above. I didn't think so. So up above, this is the gravity feed system. So I'm just going to take this empty, I have an empty one here, and I'm just going to put, okay, sorry about that, and I'm just going to put this one in with the water, put it to the bottom. Now it's got water. And then I'm going to take this tube, and I'm just going to put the tube into the tank. Ta-da! In fact, I'm just going to I'm just going to put it in there like that for now. Then I just turn it on, start flowing. Let me see if it's going. Yes, it's going. You can tell that the water is going everywhere. So now I'm just starting to fill, and I can actually cut down on the flow rate and let it sit there, and I can actually walk away from this water change. I love it when I can just walk away and go do other things, because I always forget. And I'm just going to reduce, see if that reduction is turned it off completely. Okay, that turned it off completely. So I got to open it up a little bit more. So let's see, it's turned a little bit more. So we're just doing a water change, and now the water is flowing in. It's going to start flowing out, and you can see it's already running because it was at the top. Water is running down here, and it would splatter all over the place if I didn't have this water guide. See, you can't. It's just going into. You see, I don't know how you can see it, but the water. It's going down there. As you can see, it's going into there, and maybe it's going on the inside. I'm not sure. Yeah, it looks like it might even be, in this case, running on the inside. And I'm just directing it into the bottom of this tub. This tub is 2 liters. 2 liters, and this source is 1.5 liters. So I can do 1.5 liters, which is probably 2 or 3 times this breeder box in a short amount of time. But it is a complete water change, and that is another way of doing it. Thanks for the thumbs ups. I appreciate it. We've got a number of you who've hit the thumbs up and have subscribed and are regular members. I'm going to really consider doing a difference in the time. Instead of on the first, probably on one time a month, I'm definitely going to do a 8/11, so it's 4-hour delay. And that way I'm going to do an 8/11 program instead of a 4/11, because I want to be able to maybe share some of our experience with those who are in Australia, and you might be getting up and having a coffee. Speaking of which, I made myself some tea for this live stream, and I didn't bother to have any. But it's handy to have, because, you know, you talk a lot and then you need to have a little break. But I want to be able just to share, because there's a lot of black ram breeders like Nick and Justin's Fishroom, and you know, those are great guys who have really expanded, and they keep putting out very informative, beneficial programs, and I really love it. Good evening from Denmark. See, now there's an example of it's getting late there, so maybe the 4-hour difference. In Denmark, it must be maybe 5 hours. I'm not sure where you're at, but thank you for joining us, and it's wonderful. I hope you were with us from the beginning. You got to see all the activity and all the new things, the black rams and some of the other things. Oh, it's 11:40. Okay, so 23:40. It's getting close, pushing midnight for you. So anyway, thank you so much for everyone for joining today. And if you're just joining us now, all you got to do is go to the replay and hit the replay. And so the program is definitely public, and also you get to see some of the interaction with Mr. Z. He made a surprise appearance today. Wasn't expecting that, but things happen, and that's how it is in the fish room. Surprise after surprise. So I want to sign off now and thank you, and we'll be more in touch with the developments of situated around the grow out space and the tanks, and I'm sure one day we'll be able to film and show you all these tanks, and I'll explain more about where they came from and who is the gentleman who of course was owner of the facility for I don't know how many decades, quite a long time. So thank you so much. Be sure to give it a thumbs up, and I appreciate all of you for joining this week. And if there's questions that you have, leave a comment below. I will answer them. And in fact, there was one I wanted to answer here, and what was it? A couple days ago, I almost forgot that I was going to answer it today, and it was a very good question. Okay, so next time when I get the question, I'm going to write it down right on my tank, so it's going to be here for when we reconvene next time. I really want to have that. I really want to have all the questions answered, and I want to cover those questions because it was a really good one. And I'll kick myself when I go back and see what it was. So simple, but it was a good question I was going to cover, and I apologize to the person who asked for it, but it doesn't mean it's forgotten, so I will pick up on that. If you have a question, please leave it down on the bottom. Yes, and also I do respond to all the comments, and I do appreciate the interaction with all of you, so thank you so much. And by next week, I'm going to take some of the ideas that were presented today. I thank you very much on the egg trap aquarium or tank that we have developed or designed earlier that we were looking at the beginning of this live stream. And I'm going to take some of those refinements and try to get it up and running. So maybe by next week, maybe, you'll actually see fish in that tank, and maybe they'll be spawning. So we're looking forward to seeing what kind of results we get out of that particular fish. So thank you very much for joining FishEZ, and please, by all means, oh, and yes, almost forgot, check out the very latest video from Stubbs Aquatics. Everyone head on over there right now. It just got released yesterday. I admonish you all to check it out, and he's of course with us today, a regular, so we don't want to forget. And that was also going to be a link, so I have 2 links to put down in the comment section today, and I will add yours too, Chris. So thank you so much, and everyone have a safe week in the fish room, and may your fish prove successful and bring you lots of fry, but most of all, remember to keep it real. Thank you.